There was a long while in the early and mid 2010s where I legitimately worried about the future of anime. There would be back-to-back seasons where I couldn't get into anything. The occasional diamond in the roughs were few and far between, and Attack on Titan just didn't come out enough to keep me in the community. And so eventually, I kind of teetered off anime altogether. It wasn't until 2016 I dipped a toe back in and found a couple of straight bangers that made me keep my ear to the ground. Then just before lockdown, it started rivaling mid-2000s golden age shit, and now I feel like just like in the NBA, I can confidently say that anime is the best that it's ever been. At every other point this year, it's been like an anime YouTuber's gold mine, but now that we're in December, we got our work cut out for us making that top 10 countdown. Comments are gonna wear my ass out no matter what's on the list, so with that said, let's just get right into the top 10 anime of 2021. Number 10. Skate the Infinity. Yo, Skate is fucking nuts, and all in a good way. It follows two characters, one of which has been eating and sleeping skateboarding his whole life, and the other is a transfer student from Canada who's just getting into the skate scene in Okinawa. Both are trying to make a name for themselves, competing in a fast and furious anything goes street race called S. The thing that stands out in this anime is how they've mixed the action and sports genre into an over-the-top thrill ride of stunts, heroes, and villains. They ain't gonna let shit like logic and realism stop them from selling a kick-ass adventure like this. Also, the dub has gotten massive attention for being straight up reckless.
Hey bitches and bros and non-binary hoes!
Skate is pure fun and not at all meant to be taken too seriously. It's a great mix of comedy, action, drama, and dare I say, romance? Number 9, Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. What if you could start life over as a child without losing all of your adult knowledge? Sounds like a dream come true, right? But the catch is you gotta start from literal birth and in a different world. Well, maybe that's a dream to you too, and it's the main setup for Jobless Reincarnation. Our main character, Rudy, is killed in an accident and reborn in another world as a fully cognizant infant with all memories of his past life intact. Still endowed with his adult wisdom, he is seen by his community as a child prodigy by age 11 and has become a master mage. Mushoku Tensei's source material is notable for popularizing the isekai genre, and while it may seem late in the game to cash in on the anime version, the quality is so high that it could fit in any season, any year of anime. This is a coming of age story like no other, and having had both of its seasons come out this year, it's sure to have fans clamoring for more of the story in 2022. Number 8, So I'm a Spider, So What? This was my favorite title to kick off 2021 back in January. And the main reason for that is Kumiko is one of the most entertaining main characters I've ever seen. More than action or animation, and sometimes even story, characters are what draw me in. Following the story of an adorable mutant spider monster didn't seem like it would be up my alley, but I knew right after episode 1 that I was hooked. And it's not just about her being likable. It's rewarding to see her come out on top after going through hell all day just to survive. Born on the bottom rung of the food chain, she's constantly either being hunted or on the brink of starvation. The stakes are always through the roof, and that's what makes each action sequence impactful. One of the problems I have with My Hero is that there are so many training fights. And don't get me wrong, them shits be on point, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter if they win or lose, but in Kumiko, you feel the weight of every confrontation. So far though, I'm a little worried because like so many other great anime, it's yet to be renewed for a second season. Yo, this shit right here, this is what makes me mad about anime haters who've only seen Pokemon and then disrespect anime as an art form. Sunny Boy is arguably the most original premise that I've ever seen, heard, or read in any kind of medium. We start off with a class of students floating in a black void that surrounds their school. They realize that most of them have developed superpowers and then kind of go all Lord of the Flies on each other. The plot dissects their personality and interpersonal relationships as they try to make sense of their predicament and explore ways to get back home. The interesting thing here is that it's not really linear in the traditional sense. Time is moving forward, but we have no idea how much time is even passing. At one point, it suggests they could have been there for thousands of years. That's kind of as simplistic as I can make it, but that's definitely not all there is. It's not so much a plot-driven story. It's more theme-driven, kind of episode by episode. There's themes of betrayal, themes of loneliness, themes of suspiciousness. I'm positive that one day I'm going to do a full review dedicated to just this, but for right now, this is definitely a show you need to watch twice, and you should probably be high. Number 6, Ranking of Kings. Man, I've never caught a fake out like this. I was not expecting anything but a lighthearted kids kind of show catering to elementary schoolers. But man, was I wrong. Ranking of Kings is incredible. Prince Boji is both deaf and mute, but first in line to inherit his sick father's throne. Born physically disabled, Boji's main goal is to be the best king who ever lived. I'm in complete awe at how layered all of these characters are. Not one of them feels like they're playing a role. I'm not seeing the classic tropes here. What's looked over so much in anime, and TV and movies in general, is that you can make characters who are good people do bad things, and vice versa. The best villains are never the ones who are outright evil. It's the ones with a different sense of justice, or being driven by a different set of ideals. Ranking of Kings understands this. It's not set to finish its run this year, and that's the only thing keeping it this high up on the list. Depending how many episodes come out, I could see this being a top 3 candidate in 2021. Number 5, Megalobox 2, Nomad. There ain't never been an anime glow up like this one. Beginning, middle, and end already. So when Nomad was announced, I was thinking, what's left to do? It wasn't the kind of series you could just milk for 5 seasons while selling merch, but season 2 has no right being this damn good. This season is set 7 years after Joe's title fight against Yuri, and he's in a bad place. Wandering from town to town, fighting in the underground boxing circuit again, it's much more bleak. Joe's on a self-destructive path of drugs and alcohol addiction when he meets a Latin immigrant named Chief in the ring. Chief embraces Joe, and through their relationship, we start the season-long themes of home and family. I almost regret its namesake after watching this, because Megaloboxing has so little to do with it. It's like night and day from season 1. It's all about Joe trying to find himself again after Pops' death in between seasons, and also reconnecting with those he abandoned in grief. If you watched season 1 and didn't think much of it, I'm begging you to give Nomad a try. It is not what you're expecting. Number 4, Attack on Titan, the final season. The only word that describes AOT is epic. Epic. This is finally what we've been waiting for damn near 10 years now. If you're not up to date, go ahead and skip this section because it's impossible to talk about the show without spoilers. This season mostly takes place in Reiner and the other Titans' home country of Marley. I'm not going to go into all of the history, but Reiner and the others are sort of like pre-World War Jews in Europe. They have to wear an identifying armband, they're treated with extreme prejudice, and their only hope at somewhat equal status is military service. Back inside the walls, all of the cadets from season 1 are fully grown and the whole city is aware of the outside world. But there's a divide among the soldiers around how to deal with it. Eren has become a symbol that's garnered its own followers that are more loyal to him than the military. Rife with tragedy, betrayal, action, and mystery we've come to love about AOT, the final season is by far the best one yet. Number 3, Jujutsu Kaisen. I was almost ready to put this number 1 on my 2020 list, but since it wasn't finished yet, I held off. Now that it is finished, it definitely deserves the top 3 of the year. I'm historically not a huge shonen fan, but JJK is just so damn entertaining. The balancing act between drama, comedy, and action is literally perfect. Like it could not be done any better than this. And on top of that, it's created such a carefully thought out rule system for the world's version of magic. And that's a big criticism I have with a lot of anime that establish parameters for their world building and then break them for narrative convenience. Think of how flimsy the Prime Directive is in Star Trek, or any number of superhero films where the powers let them do crazy shit they shouldn't be able to, or their powers are restricted in some thoughtless way. I've spoke a lot throughout this countdown about characters, And Yuji isn't just a lovable idiot who stands for peace and justice and always doing what's right. I compare him a lot to Yusuke Urameshi and how he's generally a good guy, but also kicks ass sometimes just because he's fucking mad. 25 episode seasons of anime are an endangered species nowadays, and to find one where every arc bangs just seems too good to be true. Number 2, Odd Taxi. It seems like since the success of BoJack Horseman, everybody wants to make people animals for no fucking reason. And I don't know why. That shit's working. Beastars pretty much owned the first half of 2020 and led to my first shitty YouTube video. But now I'm thinking Odd Taxi has taken its crown. A Tokyo taxi driver becomes embroiled in one of the most well-written mysteries ever showcased in the medium of anime. It's dialogue heavy in a way that reminds me of the Monogatari series, but the quick wit that's on display is the defining characteristic of its charm. I would definitely read Odd Taxi's spin-off short stories if they came out. It seems like all of the passengers get attention that a lot of other side characters might not, and I genuinely become invested to see more. It's not a huge cast like Durarara, but keeping it manageable and also grounded in realism almost makes a metropolis full of talking animals feel plausible. Odd Taxi is one of those shows that's hard to talk about because its greatness can't be easily summarized. It's not flashy and you need the whole context to truly appreciate it. But I can tell you this is not going to be a show that I've forgotten about in 5 years. In terms of popularity, this show was kind of canceled out in favor to others like Tokyo Revengers, but oftentimes, popularity is a poor barometer for quality.
君の欲しいものが入ってる。
別に欲しいものなんて一緒にしないで。私は私が大好き。
またリカに会いに来てね。なんちゃって。
大丈夫。僕が守るから。私のせいだ。
殺した。面白かろう。
才を振るのです。
平家はどうなるかの。平の棟梁は重盛。お前に任せる。
あなた女の子でしょ。
そなた見えるのか。きっと変わる。すべてが。
つらねえかもしんねえぞ。情報の挟み撃ちだ。すべての準備は整った。科学王国全軍出撃だ。
Number 1, Arcane, League of Legends. Look, I know it's not made in Japan, but I don't want to hear it. Alright, I don't. Arcane is the best anime, cartoon, movie, TV show, whatever the fuck. It is the best creation to come out in 2021. It is incredible. It is amazing. It's unfucking believable. I scrolled past this on my Netflix for weeks because I'm not a gamer, so the League of Legends tag didn't excite me. But right from the start, the Spider-Verse-like animation kinda hooked me. And right off the bat, it sets the tone. I love it when a show doesn't waste time letting me know what it's about. Years ago, a failed uprising from the lower class citizens against the elite resulted in the orphaning of 2 young girls who are adopted by a family friend named Vander. Naturally, the girls grow up with animosity at those on the top of the food chain as they make their living scrounging in the ghettos of the so-called City of Progress. Meanwhile, a scientist named Jace tries to discover the secrets of magic and how to control it to innovate new technology. This back and forth between high and low class is nothing new, and in 2021 it's actually a little saturated. But where Arcane is different is that it's not making a big statement about it either way. Difficult to answer questions come up about how much a rebellion is worth if it means upsetting the peace. How far will one go for their perceived notion of freedom? And what moral boundaries can be pushed in the name of order and balance? The character writing is really impressive. And I mean all the characters. I love how we see them for multiple episodes when they're young and the stage is being set so steadily for their later development. It makes things like Vi's fighting ability and Jinx's bomb making feel earned rather than a suspension of disbelief. You can feel the emotional payout when they meet up again. I keep hearing Jinx referred to as a knockoff Harley Quinn, but I couldn't disagree more. There's not so much time devoted to Harley's pain. We don't get to see how people who knew her before are affected by her change. I had to watch twice to really see how she is always paired with Echo even when they don't have any speaking lines. And then when they're pitted against each other later, as cool as it is visually, it's also tragic how many had to die and to watch it turn out this way. One of the hardest things about story writing, in my opinion, is how the hell to end it. No problem for Riot Games though, because they nailed it. I'm kinda pissed. I wish I could have done like normal and stuck my head in the sand for 5 or 6 years and binge watched a bunch of seasons all at once. For the past few years, anime has been on a tear. We're in the middle of an anime renaissance where the medium is growing in popularity year by year. The Winter 22 season is already about to kick off, and I am ready for all that momentum to continue.
I love you, but we really gotta go right now.
Fine, it was fun while it lasted.